Hello, today we're looking at the Bauhn RGB FM clock radio. It's sold exclusively through Aldi grocery stores, my favorite grocery store. So we're going to look at what it does. We're going to take it apart, look at the internals, and see if it's a good value. Let's first take a look at a web page. This is not Aldi's web page, but I think they pay some reviewers to showcase their items, and it breaks it down pretty well. I don't think we can find it, since they have a lot of special buys, which this is. Probably can't find it on the website. So let's take a look at some of the basics on it. Of course, it's a clock. It comes with an AC wall adapter, the manual, which isn't too bad. Some of these Bauhn products can be a little overly complicated. A lot of features in them, and sometimes kind of hard to navigate through. This isn't really like that. It also has a must on a clock, which is 2 AAA batteries, not included, for your battery backup, and it will operate as well, limited, on the triples, but it comes with a 5-volt level 6 adapter, which everything needs to be level 6 now, which is about 1% more efficient than the level 5 adapters. Let's see, here's one. This is what it comes with, actually, and basic. It also comes with a very nice right angle USB micro cable, which is very unique. A lot of stuff doesn't have a right angle. We'll show you that later too. Level 6, as I mentioned, is even more efficient than the 5s by about 1%. They also required those to be unloaded 0.1 watts when they're unloaded. So can't get much more efficient than that. I don't think they will, unless some new technology breakthrough. Automatic light settings that can simulate a sunrise and sunset. You have 7 colors to the RGB, including a warm white. Ability to wake up 6 nature sounds. You can wake up via light or the buzzer alarm. 12 and 24-hour format, color changing mode, 10 levels of brightness, 15 volume levels. It has an FM radio, which isn't bad. An aux port, so you can plug in your smartphone or anything for that matter. I don't think you would, though. USB charging port as well. Let's take a look at the unit itself. Yeah, most clock radios today don't come with AM. AM's a little more expensive. FM, they put it all in one chip, and it's very inexpensive. AM requires a loop antenna internally and a lot more components. So generally you don't find AM. I guess maybe the demand isn't there for it or whatever. But okay, so on this, very nice face on it. It's got the stand in the back. It's got the FM wire antenna. It's got a nice right angle USB, which is quite nice. Actually, I don't even use it for the clock radio. I use a standard one. I use this for something else that I really need a right angle on, like my tablet. So it's kind of nice. On the back of it here, we have a US, so you can plug stuff in to charge. Haven't really loaded it down to test it. But you could probably expect at least a half an amp out of it. Let's see what the one that it comes with is. Let's see if we can make this out here. Kick on some more light. There we go. Looks like we've got 1 amp. Okay, 5 volts at 1 amp. Yeah, so depending on the circuitry, it should be able to put out an amp. Let's test it real quick while we're at it. Let's plug in a little tester here, and I'm not going to hook up the fancy load meter, but let's hook up something that pulls about an amp, 0.9. We'll see if it maintains voltage. Then we'll know for sure if this thing can deliver. Nah, not really. Yeah, your typical good attempt at a USB charger, But yeah, this is a 0.8 to 0.9 amp load on here, and it can't handle it. It'll charge your phone, but it'll take forever. What's happening is the 5 volts is coming down to 4.4, which is just too low, and it's only putting out about half of the current that it should be given the load that I have. So yeah, it's not a great charger. It probably, you can't really depend on it for charging things unless they're really light loads, but most smartphones today are not light loads. They need a minimum of probably 2 amps, certainly over an amp to get the full charging capability out of it. So not a big deal. They pack a lot of features in here, so some of them might not all be winners. We'll take a look at all of them. Okay, so what we've got, go back to the back here. We've got an 1/8 inch input. It's got a very small speaker, not that great. I put some tape over it. There's some clear translucent tape. What this did was it gave it a bassier sound. It was too tinny. So by putting some tape over, and I got some of it exposed, as you can see there over here, it's exposed a little bit, and the tape's covering it. A little hard to see, but you get the idea. And it helped the frequency response by taming the highs and bringing the bass out a little more. But again, this isn't something you'd use as in lieu of a Bluetooth speaker or anything like that. FM radio's decent. Let's see, and then on the back here we have some features that we'll access when we look at those. Here's your batteries, by the way, your triples. That's just for backup. I think we hit some buttons. What it has is it has capacitive touch internally. Looks like I triggered the auto memory for the FM. See if we can cancel that out. I guess we're stuck. We're stuck in the mode. Yeah, what we can do here is just take the batteries out for a second. There we go. Okay. For demonstration purposes. So yeah, it's got a real nice face. It has the 50/50 LED packages inside, which we'll look at. Let's take a look at some of the features. Then we're going to pop it open and take a look at the insides here. This is for setting your clock, your hours and minutes standard, and you can do the mode. You can change it to the 24-hour or the 12-hour mode. You've got the dimmer, or it will shut. If you're running it on batteries, it'll shut off after a period of time. But you probably don't want to run this on batteries because the life would be limited. It's made to be plugged in. But that's your dimmer, 2 settings, or off. Your alarm setting, that's standard. You have a feature where you could set this to come on at a preset time, and it'll wake you up. So what will happen is the warm whites will come on, and they'll come on low, and over a 30-minute period they'll ramp up to full brightness, and that can wake you up. You also could set it to wake up to nature sounds or a buzzer. So this is a 30-minute ramp up. You can also use it at sunset. You can have it 30 minutes prior to when your sun goes down. It comes on at full brightness, warm white, and will slowly ramp down over 30 minutes and then shut off. And that's a feature you could turn on or off. That's what this little feature here is, this little sunrise symbol right there. Then it's got a snooze button in the middle there, and then your FM. Not a bad FM radio. Sensitivity on it isn't too bad. The way it works is when you first turn it on, it's got 30 memories, and it will. And here's your line in, by the way, for your jack on the back. It's got 30 memories, and it'll just go through the FM stations, and it'll put them in 30 slots. It's not perfect. If you have some strong stations, say you've got 102.5, it might bleed over to 102.7 because the selectivity on the front end of the tuner isn't probably the greatest, but it's not bad. So what'll happen is it might put in the adjacent channel, which is a little staticky. There's no channel there, and there shouldn't be. A couple of those it picked up, but no big deal. It's just a dead memory. But you've got 30 slots to fill, so it's not like you're going to run out of out of channels. FM radio, so not bad at all. You know, if you get overloading, if you're in the city, you wouldn't really uncoil this much. You could fold it up and experiment with it, wrap it up. And if you're out in the country or out far away, then you want to unravel this. Try different positions, horizontal, vertical. You know, behind the, you can drop it behind your nightstand, for example. So let's take a look at some colors while we're looking at the front here. When you tap the light, as I say, capacitive touch. I was reading some people were saying they couldn't operate the buttons, and they probably didn't read the instruction manual. These aren't tactile. You just tap them like you would your smartphone, and they're probably pushing them real hard and laying on them, and they're not responding properly. You just need some sensitive touch on them. Warm white comes on first. Second tap will give you your RGBs, and this mode here just slowly will go through colors on its own. Here it's going yellow. It'll go through the whole gamut of RGB colors on its own. Let's see, I think if you do it in more of a rapid succession, yeah, there's a way to go through the colors as well. I forget. Okay, yeah, this is your dimming of warm white and your brightening of warm white. RGB. Maybe we're in the line mode, and that's... Okay, there we are. Give you an idea of colors. It's pretty bright because it uses the 50/50s, as I mentioned. Those are bright LEDs. Let's pop this open and see what's inside. Really easy. You just give it a squeeze, and the face pops off. Probably not the greatest attachment on here. If it fell on the floor, this would certainly pop off. But I've taken it apart enough times. There's a little notch on the bottom that you line up down here for proper alignment for the buttons. Let's shut this off. So yeah, it's got these little spring deals in here. Capacitive touch. So you just tap them. Oh, they had this technology back in the 70s. I remember in the Otis elevators, they'd have little glass neon lit numbers, and they'd have the same identical looking springs behind the glass, and it was just capacitive touch. I remember you could breathe on them with, just use your breath and trigger the numbers that way in the elevators. And then we used to always hit hit 40 floors at once, go down the numbers. Of course, they put logic in the elevators to know there's a weight sensor, and it would know there's not enough people on the elevator to have that many floors selected, and it would cancel them out. But at any rate, you could see the numbers are very hard to see when the face is off, because it's using the resolution on the LEDs is low, and that's fine, because when you put this diffuser on the front here, when it gets close, it focuses, and then they appear to be pretty clear. So that's normal. We'll pop this off. We could leave those on for now. What it has, let's turn this off and get a better shot. I don't know if this light is interfering. I think that you can see that pretty good. So inside that bottom board there has a whole bunch of LEDs. The yellow ones that you can see are dedicated warm whites. And then the ones in between, let me point those out here, which are these white packages here. Those are the RGBs, 50/50s, which are quite bright. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 maybe of those roughly. Maybe 10 of the warm whites, thereabout. This board doesn't want to come out very easy. This all has to be taken apart, and it's got adhesive on the top. So we're not going to pull it apart to look at the back side of the board, but internally we can see quite a bit. Microprocessor and the crystal for it. Controller for the LEDs. I was reading these 50/50s now are coming with ICs built in to them. The controllers are built in to the LED. It's in the center of the package. These don't have that because it's got its own controller, but kind of neat where the technology is going. So let's fire these up and give you, so you can see the dedicated warm whites. It's a good way to do it. You can get the 50/50 package RGBs with the warm white built into them, but it's not as bright. So they've elected to have separate warm whites and then just separate straight RGB LED packages. It's a better way to do it if you want more brightness. So this will really spool up to very bright. It'll light the whole room up. They don't really give it a lumen rating, but geez, if I were to guess, let's see here, it's about full max there. Oh yeah, this is probably 200 lumens. It's probably like a 20-watt light bulb, something like that. Nice diffuser in there as well. As you can see how it works, it shines up, hits the diffuser, and bounces all internally. So it gives you a nice glow. And these are your RGB packaged, working there. Be nice if you could do it via an app, but of course then you need Wi-Fi and all that built in. So really nice quality, and nice if you're into LEDs and RGBs. They did it right in this model. We'll put the face back on here. Whoops, upside down. Yeah, there's a notch right in here, and we can align that up with the notch right there, because that's kind of important to get it centered so that the springs line up. I have noticed if you do pop yours open, the capacitive touch must have like automatic gain control on it or something, sensitivity. And sometimes when you pop this lid off and go back to put it on, your capacitive touch might not work. And just power it down, maybe remove the batteries, power it back up, and she's fine again. Yeah, see, it's not responding now, but no big deal. That's easy to remedy by just pulling power on it. So really that's about it. Let's give you a model number. This is a 11619. That's the model number. Bauhn brand, Aldi. You might be able to find something very similar to this. Chinesium type, very similar, non-Aldi. When I was searching, but the price on it's under, I want to say $17. And a lot of times Aldi will blow these things out, you know, 10 bucks, 7 bucks. So you can get a good deal on them. Let's give a listen to the FM radio real quick.
Part of the giving family online at thejoyfm.com. Helping you and others.
I had to open me up, and he was gonna.
There's some different levels of volume. You've got 15. There it goes.
When I get to where I can't walk, I'll come back to see.
And one feature it has that's not too great is the nature sounds. They're kind of goofy nature sounds, and you really can't get them at a low enough volume to make them useful. Give you a listen. Let's see, radio's still on. Let's kick that off. Line in. There we go. Okay. Pretty annoying, huh? Okay. Stream. Bird. Rainforest, I guess. And then 7 is an off setting. So yeah, they're a little annoying, and you really can't set them to a low enough volume, which I'm not too crazy about. So yeah, some people weren't too crazy about it, but you know, just because it has the feature and it's not great doesn't really detract from all the good things that the light has. So hopefully you got something out of the video. You know what it looks inside, the quality, and pretty much everything that it does. It's attractive and does quite a few things. Charger isn't very good or useful in any way, in my opinion, but the main features that it does have, I think, work very well. With the exception of the charger and the nature sounds. Hey, you might like them, I don't know, but I personally don't. So okay, well, thanks for tuning in, and you know, give it a thumbs up if you like it, and or a thumbs down if you don't, and subscribe to the channel. We're new, and hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for tuning in.